Kingslayer community, what's going on, was doing a deep dive on some category sales data and thought it was interesting. Might be more compelling to share on a video format. And this video is really for people, maybe thinking about running a game store themselves and like thinking about what types of products to carry. Maybe existing stores, thinking about product mix. Hopefully the data is useful. I'm going to provide data. There's a link down below in the description straight to a Google Sheet that looks at our 2024 sales data for my newest store in Lake Forest, California. And it goes over category sales, cost, and gross margins. So if you're like, I really want to try out this product category in my store, you can see what we're generating in terms of revenue and gross margin. I'm going to go into some deeper dives about Lake Forest specifically, but this video is for someone that wants to know more about sales by category, so you can see what games work well in our store. And really for people that might just want to learn a little bit more about the business of card games. It's deep dive. It's kind of crunchy data stuff. We'll go over why TCGs need to be the core focus and some misconceptions that prospective game store owners have about getting into a game store. And go into a little deep dive on why it's important to identify those now and understand that those are can be a trap going into the game store business. So yeah, this video is really for the people wanting to know more about the business side of TCGs and game stores and looking at category sales. If you're like, oh, I'd love to know what games generate the most revenue for Kingslayer or for my local game store, it might help you know how to spend money to support them through kind of weird times with everything going on in the world right now. So let's jump right into it. Common misconceptions first. So I do free consulting I've done for about 24 game stores now in the last 2 years, and for stores in their first couple years or for folks that are thinking about starting a game store. And a lot of times it's a mega fan of a intellectual property or someone that's really into a specific product, and they want to bring that to their territory, to the area. They identified a need or what they feel is a need, and they want to bring tabletop RPGs, board games, wargaming, and lead with those product categories in their game store. And they're considering or planning on having some TCG integration because they know that pays the bills, but they think that they can make a fruitful endeavor based on those aforementioned product categories. And you cannot. You can try, and if you have deep pockets, you can try for a longer period of time. But if it's not TCG focused, in my experience, it will not work long term. There's exceptions to every rule, but that's at least from my experience. Building a store around D&D, tabletop RPGs, monetizing D&D and tabletop RPGs, not to say they can't be a feature of your company, or building a store specifically around miniatures, again, not to say they can't be a feature of your company, and board games. I'm very passionate about video games, and we're integrating that into our business now, and it's very difficult and would not work if it was my only source of income. So those are the real misconceptions. And what I see is people bringing in these passion projects that they have and wanting to lead with them and supplementing with TCG, and not integrating organized play. And so when I speak to store owners, I'm integrating organized play. That's a huge part of what I want to do. And let's look at the sales data. So the reality here, I'm going to pull up on the screen. We're going to start, I'm going to go like granular detail on this. And this is Lake Forest's first full year was 2024. The industry has grown a ton since 2024. In 2025, we've had just amazing revenue from really November 24 all the way through now. This meteoric growth in the hobby. So, but this sales data is pretty modest. I will say the caveat for someone looking at this is our third store. So we've done this before. We know what works, and the mistakes were much more limited. We had extra allocation, extra product to prop this store up. So, mileage may vary if you're looking at revenue and what's happening. I think margins probably are going to vary. They'll still go up and down a little bit based on product category, but just wanted to give you that kind of disclaimer that this is not the first store that we opened. This is the third. But let's go ahead and look at product category sales, line item by line item, and then look at total. And this is the thing, the aha moment when we get to the end of the spreadsheet was looking at total revenue based on like product buckets, and that'll make more sense here in just a moment. Okay, so again, granular detail. This is useful for folks that care about the crunchy data. And again, the sheet is down below. But we're going to go through each product category. So Grand Archive, something that kind of rolled out super late to the store, a whole $20. Tabletop RPGs. This category we actually have split up into two places, but I think this category only had $30. Video games, this was a new venture for us at this store. Again, this is all 12 months of sales, first full year. This store, Lake Forest, opened at the in Q3 of 2023. And yeah, January, this was its first full 12 calendar months. Video games, we just started entertaining and rolling out in December. So that's why, category sales is small. I feel I'll be explaining a lot of these. If it's in green, it's not a TCG item. So that's why it's highlighted in green. And we'll get to that towards the end. Merch, this is going to be our Kingslayer hoodies. Our merch game is kind of weak right now. We're improving our merch game quite a bit. We had a new playmat that dropped at our stores yesterday, actually. Altered TCG, we carried a very small amount of this. I got a very tiny amount. We did not kickstart this product. One Piece singles at this store is something we just actually began reintegrating. We haven't put a huge emphasis on One Piece singles yet here. Playmats, this is going to be just regular accessories of playmats. $2,000 gross margin here. It's at 52%. Star Wars Unlimited singles, kind of same thing. The more every product category of singles, the more you work it, the more revenue there will be. So that really the singles revenue at our stores is indicative of how healthy that organized play community is at that store. Next up is Weiss Schwarz. We've actually canceled out Weiss Schwarz. You can see the margin here. Weiss Schwarz and all the Busherode games are generally really, really bad margins unless you've got a community that really cares about that product line. It's very difficult to sustain. So we've actually cut Weiss Schwarz from our stores. Pre-orders, this is actually product that needs to be allocated to certain product categories. I need to probably fix that. Accessories, this is going to be general accessories, kind of like top loaders, penny sleeves, things that didn't fall into some of these other buckets that you're going to see. Next up is binders. This store did about $3,000 in binders. Again, margin's pretty healthy. Sorcery TCG, this is sealed product of Sorcery at this store, $4,500 in its first calendar year, not bad. 42% margin. Lorcana singles, this has a very healthy Lorcana community. I stream Lorcana on YouTube and Twitch every Thursday and TikTok as well. Lorcana does really well for us. We're in Orange County. D&D, this is like the main bucket of Dungeons & Dragons, $5,000. This is going to be really like D&D books, not generally counting dice, might have some, not even generally counting miniatures. This is really almost exclusively D&D books, 45% margin on that. Here's our dice category. This dice is a combination of TCG dice and D&D or RPG dice, about $7,000. Bundles, these are going to be every Black Friday. We'll do a product bundle, and usually it's underwater. Usually we're selling that item at cost. So negative margin on that just to liquidate some inventory. Board games, I would think on the outside, if I'm opening a game store, board games is going to be a leading category. And for some stores it is. For us, it is not. It's something that we've really struggled with, the space that it takes up, and the ease of ordering, at least in the States, the ease of ordering from Amazon or from other places or going to Target, especially in our area. Lots of Targets, and Amazon Prime is available everywhere. So, board games for us isn't as massive, but 43% margin. Snacks and drinks, about $9,000 at this location, 54% margin. The Forge for us is another it's a singles program, but it includes 3 different games. It includes Lorcana, Pokemon, and Magic. It's a way of it's basically $1 and $2 buckets for singles and some other price points as well, but kind of bulk singles. But this is TCG based. Union Arena has done fairly well for us. I wouldn't say it's done great, and it's a lot of releases, but it has done, it has generated $4,600 of profit dollars for the store. It's 17th place, so I guess this is probably like 15th place. Yu-Gi-Oh! So we've got Yu-Gi-Oh! Margins, as you can see, not as great. It's kind of like in between like a Busherode game and a traditional TCG, but there is organized play communities growing. Not at the store yet. We haven't launched that program yet, but I would expect those numbers to go up when we do more OP at this location. Next up, we have deck boxes. $5,500, and that's 46% margin. You'll see something like deck boxes, literally deck boxes, sells more than board games or D&D or these other product categories that a prospective store owner might be really, really excited about making their whole business around. Pokemon singles has done $12,000 at this location in that first year. Digimon 13,000. Margins are relatively healthy. This is our only store that has a healthy Digimon community of organized play. Dragon Ball Super. This has really died down a lot when they split it into Fusion World, and it's been harder to maintain any organized play for. Margins are slipping because OP is slipping because the game is kind of in a mess. It's kind of a mess right now. Magic singles. So this is probably half of our case, or 40% of our singles case is occupied by Magic singles. $15,000 in sales, 59% margin. The way we calculate margins in our system for singles is like a little loose. It's probably less than 59% margin. Flesh and Blood, this is sealed product for Flesh and Blood. Fab is an amazing game supported by almost all of our staff members at all of our stores and has done really, really well. Here specifically, we do Friday Night Fab at this location, which is something that we wouldn't dare really try usually, but it just kind of works. 31% margin, relatively healthy, and good throughput on revenue. Star Wars Unlimited TCG is pretty surprising that this is more revenue than Flesh and Blood, but fantastic. Good 35 grand in gross sales, 14% or $14,000 of profit, 39% margin. Sleeves, here we go. This is vast majority of this is Dragon Shield, $36,000 in sales, $19,000 in profit, super healthy margins. Event registration, this margin, you can kind of ignore that. So the way that we do events, the event revenue in our system is we put pretty like nominal cost up front, and then we shrink out or write out our cost of pricing on the back end every month. So in our system, kind of ignore the margins here, but the gross sales of $40,000 is accurate. And then margins, it's events are either break even or maybe 10 to 20% margin. It really gets people, butts in seats to play in events and enjoy the experience. And then there's more product purchasing from that point on. The One Piece card game, $52,000, $29K in profit, 55% margin, just fantastic sell-through rate. Most prospective game store owners I talk to this isn't on their radar at all. And I'm like, you have to do TCGs, you have to do organized play, and you have to care about One Piece. And they're like, well, I don't care about One Piece. I'm like, well, do you care about your business surviving? And then you should care about One Piece and organized play and all that kind of stuff, because it's having a game that's 100% sell through. And what I mean by that is everything we order has sold through. We don't really have back stock of One Piece, except for product we hold to host events. So fantastic game. Disney Lorcana, edging out just ever so closely, edging out the One Piece card game there. Pretty healthy margins, not as healthy margins as One Piece, but for a game in its second year, pretty awesome stuff to see from Lorcana. 52K in revenue. Here we go. Our biggest non-TCG category is miniatures. This store has a massive wargaming community, and all this miniature sales category includes Games Workshop product. It includes any other miniature type product. It's mostly Games Workshop, and then all the paints for all the brands, any accessories, anything miniatures related, like tools and stuff like that, bags or whatever, all goes into here. 81 grand, $30,000 in profit, and 36% margin. Then we have Pokemon, which massive. The numbers, if we were to do a 2025 snapshot, Pokemon, I believe, is in first in most cases, but for this store, $103,000, 31% profit, 30% margin. Margins are way up this year for Pokemon, as you can imagine, but this is a 24 snapshot. And then our big dog, Magic the Gathering, $143,000 and 52,000 profit dollars, 36% margin. The reason I was looking at this data was another prospective store owner sent me their estimates for what they think product category revenue would be for their new store. And I was like, well, let me just give you my data. And then while I was putting it together, I was like, well, let me just give everyone my data, and then they can have it and make decisions that work for them. In my experience, I know that TCGs pays the bills because that's just in 10 years of doing this, that's what you just kind of observe. But I was curious, exactly how much. So I wanted to put together all the categories on paper here, digital paper, and compare them. So let's scroll to the bottom of this list. I have some hidden data here on the sheet. We're gonna unhide this. Unhide. Okay, so here is total cost and profit, yada yada yada. Mixed margins is 41%, which is fantastic for gross margin. I mean, we've got payroll, rent, and everything else that backs out of that, but good to know. The question was, if you're thinking about opening a game store and TCGs are not your main priority, what is that going to cost you when you open? So for us, TCG revenue, and when I'm saying TCG, I'm including accessories, binders, all that kind of stuff. Anything TCG adjacent, all the games for this store was 85% of their revenue, $633,000. Non-TCG revenue was 15%. So I wanted to show this as black and white and as plainly as possible for anyone thinking about getting in the industry. This is a roadmap, a consideration. Yes, you could do your best to make a miniature store. I think that's the best argument here, is like 11% of our revenue is miniatures. But I will tell you, this store crushes in miniature sales and events. Like, we've got more than our other two stores, has more volume of people coming into the store to learn how to play Warhammer and to play and spending money. And even with like them just absolutely annihilating our cash register with spend for miniature product, it's still only 11%. Now it's probably maybe more like 15%, maybe 15% now in 2025, but maybe not. I don't know. It might even gone down because of how much Pokemon's gone up. But compared to other games, I think it's a fair comparison. Like, yeah, Warhammer compared to Pokemon, like, yeah, maybe it should be your third most important brand, but we've got, I think I mentioned 12 different TCGs here in our TCG bucket, and most of which we do organized play for. So that's the deep dive, the granular detail on the data. I think it's pretty obvious as to why trading card games win. They have recurring revenue. They have events every single week. There's new releases at least every quarter for each game, sometimes as frequent as every month. And they scale. It's something where if someone is into one TCG, we have all these other options for them to learn new games. If you look at board games, once you buy that board game, you don't have a reason to go back to that store anymore, unless it's to buy another board game. But that game system doesn't have a built-in mechanism to encourage people to come back every week to play or every month to play. And there's no good organized play tools for stores to really support that. Where TCGs, it's, there's a meta that's ever changing. You're in these really compelling matches and social experiences where you're playing against your opponent that really cares if they win or lose, and it's exciting. There's a thrill to that. The collector market, opening packs is fun, and there's some joy there, and but it's not really what does it for me. I feel like the part that really hooks this and makes this and has this make sense is this is that third space. This is the experience for your community. So, at Kingslayer, we live by our three values, which is kindness, community, and obsession. And I talk about that in our videos all the time. And I truly feel like if you're aware of the categories that do well in your industry, you lean into those, you support them with organized play, and then you just focus on kindness, community, and obsession, you're going to be successful and you'll do well. Whether or not there's a bunch of stores in your neighborhood or there's no stores, as long as there's some population, and I think there's some population, good space, and space needs to have good parking and cost. There's other factors, right? I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine as long as you focus on TCG and you're like in the middle of nowhere in Alaska. Maybe it won't be fine. So, take that with a grain of salt. But if you have a general, if you check the other boxes, the other basic ones that I talk about in my other videos and future videos, and you focus on these things, I think you'll have a much greater chance of being successful. This is the path. The other paths with board games, tabletop RPGs, video games, miniatures, or wargaming, if those are your primary focus, you think you can have them be important to you. Like, if D&D is like the reason you want to open a game store, I think that's okay. But I would put that in place with the fact that it's for us, it's in the everything else category of less than 3% of your revenue. And this is a store that, yes, it's in its first year, but we've been doing this for 10 years. We've been observing this for a while. It's really hard to monetize D&D or tabletop RPGs. So just keep that in mind. I think D&D can be important. You can host your D&D night and make that work, but the other 6 days of the week better be TCG focused, because that's what's going to pay the bills. That's what's going to make this income for you. Like, the goal here, the goal of opening a game store is to make money. Yes, communities, kindness, obsession, all that stuff is really important. But if you're not trying to make money, then it's not going to stay in business. Like, the business has to generate revenue. So anyways, thanks for letting me stand on the soapbox. I'm getting off the soapbox now. Another unhinged tales from the tape here. Hope you guys have a great day, and more stuff coming soon. What did you like about this? What other kind of deep dive do you want to see? Do you want to see a 2025 deep dive of a different store? I can get more granular. We can talk about organized play stats, that sort of thing. But yeah, let me know what you want to see. Hopefully this is useful. Hopefully it's fun. My goal is to make it interesting, useful, and fun for me to talk about. And I felt like this was a good place to start this week. So later on, appreciate your time, y'all.